Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Royal College of Surgeons of England Diplomates Ceremony for March 2022. Today there are no planned fire drills, so if an alarm sounds, please leave by your nearest exit, which may be behind you. There's one here, there's one about halfway down. Staff will escort you to safety. Please do use your phones to take lots of photos and videos, but remember to switch them to silent during the ceremony. And if you wish to share your pictures on social media, please use the hashtag RCSENGDips and tweet us at RCS News. And without further ado, may I now ask you to please be upstanding for the Royal College of Surgeons of England Council.
Please be seated. A very, very warm welcome, everybody. I'm just making sure the mic's working. You hear me at the back? Thumbs up? Great. Thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. Very special day, we understand. And many, many congratulations, which we'll be saying a little more about in a bit. And all your friends, parents, significant others, a very warm welcome to the college. We are just about getting to the point where our L plates are off. And by that I mean, it's a new building. We've been trying it out. We've had some problems with DIPS days. The music doesn't work. The microphones don't work. All that kind of stuff. We're gradually getting through it. The music worked today, which was great. And obviously we're beginning to inhabit the building like a home. And rather like moving to a new house, we're unpacking the packing cases, beginning to put the pictures up and so on. There's more to do, but we're getting there. And despite all the problems of COVID, we had the building continuing, and Omicron came along and stopped us in our tracks a bit. But we hope now, we really, really hope now, we're going to open up and get the college functions working really well. You can see here, this is a picture of our wonderful Holbein picture of Henry VIII giving the charter to the barber surgeons. And that picture is about 20 foot by 10 foot, and that will be downstairs in the main entrance hall in due course when it's properly fixed up. And many, many of others of our cultural items will be dotted around the place. So watch this space. And of course, in 2023, we will be opening around February, March time, the new Hunterian Museum, about which I'll say a little more a bit later, but that'll be very, very exciting too. I wanted to say right at the beginning, a big thank you to you. I want to say a big thank you because many of my colleagues in senior NHS positions and many MPs I meet say we are so grateful for the effort put in by trainees and recently qualified surgeons during the pandemic. We understand that it was tough and that many people were repurposed and that getting good experience has been difficult and all those things. And as a college, we're absolutely committed to sorting out all those issues around training and experience and so forth. I just wanted to say a little more about the pandemic and its possible waning. If you're uncomfortable being in a room with lots of other people and you want to wear a mask, that's absolutely fine. When you, as diplomates, come up, we won't be shaking hands just for a little longer. It will be an elbow bump. I'll remind you in a minute. We just have to get through this together very, very carefully and sensibly, but we are getting there. One of the great things that the pandemic has done for us as a profession is taught us that we have to collaborate. And in many, many hospitals up and down the land, at the height of the pandemic, it's so easy to forget how bad it was and how recent it was. At the height of the pandemic, many, many surgical teams had great ideas and lots and lots of brilliant suggestions about how their hospitals might work better. And indeed, I was recently up in Sunderland and Middlesbrough, and I met some great teams where they'd all said, suddenly, instead of surgeons being either a bit grumpy or competing with each other, a bit of the tribalism between specialties, they actually collaborated and got the place going with very, very good, also very, very, very impressive management teams who realized that they needed the input of the clinicians to make things work around the pandemic. Now, you'll have seen, or you may not have seen, that on our flagpole today is the Ukrainian flag. Normally, we would have the college coat of arms up on a Diplomates Day, and we're not taking sides politically, but as a college, we recognize the huge humanitarian problem around wars, and we want to acknowledge the innocent victims of war, and of course the place that surgeons play during conflict. I was on a meeting with senior national medical leaders yesterday, and the NHS in all its 4 jurisdictions has a joint committee on helping the Ukraine situation. There is obviously going to be financial support. There are going to be issues around looking after refugees. There are particular special procedures being put in place, for example, for children with leukemia who can't be treated in Ukraine and so on. And even there is going to be a casualty hospital in the west of Ukraine is the plan at the moment. And there are going to be calls for weekly cycles of 50 staff as volunteers coming from the UK to work there, particularly trauma and orthopedic surgeons, plastic surgeons and so forth. And they're working on the detail, and you'll hear about that in due course, as the way we as a college can help. Now, of course, many of you will go downstairs, either you have done already or will go downstairs at the end and have your picture taken with John Hunter, who is our hero. He is the very first scientific surgeon, if you like. And a couple of interesting things about John Hunter in relation to our current very, very tough times. Number one, he was a very good friend of Edward Jenner, who of course invented vaccination. They wrote to each other frequently, and in fact Hunter said to him, try the experiment, just don't talk about it, try the experiment. So Hunter was a very practical person. He believed in doing experiments to see what would happen, and we could say that surgeons played their part in the vaccination campaign, as I said yesterday to Dame Sarah Gilbert, who had an honorary fellowship yesterday morning. What is not so well known is that John Hunter was also involved in what was called the 7-Year War with France in the 1760s, and it was said to be the first global conflict. It involved a huge area of Europe, and he became the Surgeon General, the head of the medical services for the army, and he wrote about wound management, and he also wrote about wound injuries and how they happen, particularly pistol shot wounds and that sort of thing. It just reminds us that when we do have armed conflict, tremendous strides are made in the way in which we manage patients. Regrettably, but every time there's been a major conflict, we have learned how to do our jobs better. Now, it's quite clear that surgeons are needed in international conflict, armed conflict, just as much as they're needed at home. And you might consider that our next war here at home is the war on the wait lists. You may have heard us campaigning around more surgeons, more beds, surgical hubs in which we can have a process which allows cases to be done quickly and training to happen really, really well. And the Secretary of State was giving a speech yesterday and outlined many of those positions which we've taken. So everybody is aligned without any doubt around what we have to do, and you will be absolutely a vital part of that important process. So finally, I just wanted to say a little bit about this logo. You can see there's a mace. This is the mace that the eagle is holding, given to us in 1822 by King George V. He actually gave it to us himself out of the Privy Purse. It signified the renewal of the contract we have, if you like, with the reigning monarch around our royal status. And the eagle, if you look on the website, is there as a figure or a demonstration of fortitude. I had to look up what fortitude meant. Fortitude means courage in adversity. So we will have many colleagues exhibiting courage in adversity out in Ukraine at the moment, but also in our less conflict-involved lives. As surgeons every day, we need to show courage in adversity. We need to show courage in adversity around those tough operations. We need to show courage in adversity when we have to try and explain really difficult things to patients. We have to show courage in adversity when we call out inappropriate behavior. So the last thing I wanted to say this morning was, please use this moment as you accept your diploma as a way of confirming that you will, for the rest of your professional lives, carry out your surgical duties to the very highest professional standards, doing the very best for your patients, collaborating with your colleagues, and getting the best possible outcomes you can. So we're now going to continue with the diploma ceremony, and you'll be asked in a moment to form a file around the back. I'm going to ask my colleagues to begin walking to the back of the room to bring you up. One more reminder, when you come up that side, as your name is read out, come towards me. We will bump elbows, not shake hands. I'm sad, that's the way it has to be for a little longer. And then with me you'll stand and we'll have our photographs taken. And then obviously there's the rest of the diplomas conferring, and then we'll have a short speech and then refreshments after outside. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the ceremonies. Lots of clapping if you would. You're very happy. You're welcome to take pictures, etc. And enjoy the rest of the ceremony. Thank you very much.
President, I present to you Research Fellows.
Andreas Fontaris. James Malcolm Winram Robbins.
President, I present to you successful fellows in the Intercollegiate Specialty Examination, fellows in cardiothoracic surgery.
Mohammed Salim.
President, I present to you fellows in general surgery.
Helen Mary Andrew. Nicholas Holford. Alexandra Kate Humphreys. David Nathaniel Nauman. Tim Rattay. Rachel Claire Rolfe. Diwakar Riali Sama.
President, I present to you a fellow in neurosurgery.
Isabel Tulloch.
President, I present to you a fellow in otolaryngology.
Shraddha Sharma.
President, I present to you fellows in paediatric surgery.
Wael Mahmoud Abdelrahman Al-Zanaini. Mohammed Saber Mohammed Mustafa.
President, I present to you a fellow in plastic surgery.
Sadia Rafiq.
President, I present to you fellows in trauma and orthopedic surgery.
Young Seok Cho. Catherine Allison Christian Gibson. Panagiotis Mavroidis. James Alexander Riley. Lokesh Mohan Sharoff. Stamatios Samados. Anatole Wilhelm Wieck.
You got two.
President, I present to you fellows in urology.
Parani Mahesan. Chloe Mount.
President, I present to you a fellow in vascular surgery.
Jun Seok Cho.
President, I present to you fellows Ade Undum.
Andrei Mihailescu. Mihaita Marius Negru.
President, I present to you successful candidates at recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons, diplomats from Imperial College London, Keele University, University of Cardiff, and University of Lorraine.
Emily Cribb. Adewale Oyinloye. Viraj Parmar. Michael Gresham Razia. Sarah Zhao.
President, I present to you diplomats from Cairo University, Hull York Medical School, Khyber Medical College, University College London, University of Bari, University of Abadan, Amrose Ali University, Swansea University, University of Edinburgh, University of Juba, and University of Newcastle.
Ahmed Yehia Ibrahim Abdel Khalek. Olalekan Adepoju. Elizabeth Culpin. Mazin Fatal Harman Omer Mohammed. Michael Foxall Smith.
We'll do that. Right. There we are. Sorry, that can't be.
Lydia Wickstone. Calvin Eng. Claire Joyner. Charles Agogo Ashavir Bini. Jack Wildman. Michael Wilson.
President, I present to you diplomats from the International Medical School, University of Basra, University of Gdansk, University of Leeds, University of Malta and the University of Warwick.
Saif Ali Ahmed. Kajali Kamara. Joseph Dixon. Kazim Sohail. Rebecca Stoner.
President, I present to you a successful candidate in recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons via ENT route.
Laura Bateman.
President, I present to you a successful candidate in recent examinations for the Diploma in Otolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery.
Mukundadura Bimantha Pereira.
I think that draws to a close our conferring of diplomas. I'm just going to ask you all to do something else really rather special. I want everybody on this side of the room, the diplomates that is, to stand up. And some, if not all of your supporters are here, and the round of applause can also be to your teachers, mentors and surgical tutors. If you turn to your significant others, friends and family, a big round of applause for them, please. great. Thank you very much. So if you sit down, now it's your turn. If you all stand up, please. Now, these guys have made sacrifices. It's a tough call doing surgery, but we know you've made sacrifices on their behalf too. Nonetheless, big round of applause for your new diplomates. That's great. Thank you very much. Please all have a seat again. It's a great pleasure to introduce our speaker for this congregation, for this degree conferring. Sue Hill's been a long-standing member of our council, demitted last year as Vice President, works in Wales, strong advocate for women in surgery, and for all things surgical. Sue Hill, please.
I've put a few aide memoirs down here because no one could ever say I'm not very good at talking, but sometimes I lose track because I'm so fond of telling you all the wonderful things I know and how clever I am. Anyway, today is not about me. It's about all of you. They're agreeing. Look, you know. She does. She's got a big mouth and she tells you what she knows. So first of all, it's really nice to see you, and it's really nice to look down and see such a load of happy faces. And you're all smiling. It's wonderful. And you know, you've got the proud people on one side, the family members on the other side, and you, the diplomats, on the left. And you've all got every right to be happy. Okay. So first of all, congratulations. It's a really great day, and I'm really happy to be here. Second of all, I know there's been a lot of hard work involved in this, and you know, your hard work is not over. I'm afraid a life in surgery involves hard work, but whether you've passed your MRCS or your fellowship today, your intercollegiate exam, it's a massive achievement. And even as time goes on, never forget that, okay? You have actually achieved something really worthwhile, and the college doesn't give away these examinations, okay? They're difficult examinations, and that's what makes us so proud to have passed them, okay? To have MRCS or FRCS after your name is a mark of excellence, and it's a mark of excellence that is recognised throughout the world. There's nowhere that you will go in your travels where people do not recognise the FRCS and know that the person who holds it knows what they're doing, okay? So never underestimate what a great thing it is to have an FRCS after your name. That's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I want to say is that, you know, this isn't the beginning of the end. It's not the end of the beginning, but it possibly is the end. It is, that's what it is. It's the end of the beginning. You have got over the first part of your surgical training, but you are going to now enter into a fellowship with other surgeons who are members of this college, and indeed our sister colleges. You're part of a fellowship of surgery. And I hope that that's going to be part of your life throughout your career, okay? And that you're not just going to leave this building today and think that you've been here and you've got it, and you've got your diploma, and that's it. This new building, really, I want to be part of your professional life. And I want you to be able to come back here and deal with the people who work here and the oncoming members of council, and know that you've got people here who can help you. And you're going to have the opportunity to come back here to train, and then as you get a little bit more senior in your career, you're going to be able to come back and do some of the training. And even eventually, perhaps, God forbid, you might end up being examiners and put other poor saps through the stuff that you've been through, okay? So I remember passing my, what was then the primary FRCS way back about 35 years ago now, I think, in the old building. And in those days, the examiners didn't like to just torture you while they examined you. They also made you hang around to find out whether you'd passed or not. So you had to go into the big hallway of the college and they would read your numbers out. So it would be number 3, number 475. You think, oh God, surely they must have. And then luckily they'd read your number out. But having read your number out, so you were then euphoric that you'd passed your primary FRCS, they then inflicted on you, I suppose what I'd call it now, trial by sherry. So not only had they tortured you all afternoon, You then had to go in and talk to these old dears, these old examiners, mostly almost invariably men in those days, had to go in and talk to them and drink sherry with them. You'll remember that, Neil, didn't you have to do that? Make small talk with these old men, when all you actually wanted to do is get out, get down to Covent Garden, find a bar and celebrate. That was my primary FRCS. I also remember when I came up to get what was called then your final FRCS. Of course, they stuck another exam on for us to enjoy later, even though they told us it was our final FRCS. And I remember walking up in the same way as you have today, receiving my diploma from the then president, who was Terence English back then. And as I received my diploma, my brother, who's a builder, stood up in the back row and screamed out, "Yeah!" Of course, I was quite embarrassed, but now I look back on it, it was really nice. And you know, that was part of the day. So for me, that day back in 1989 was a really special, happy day. And I still look back on it and smile about it. And that's what you're all going to do. You're all going to look back on this day and remember it, okay? And looking back, you know, looking back now, I'm coming to the end of, I'm not quite retired yet, but I'm coming to the end of my surgical career. And I can truthfully say it's been a wonderful career, and I'm sure all my colleagues up here on the days agree. I would never have chosen a different career, okay? At times it's a tough career, but there isn't another career, I don't think, that has the variety, the excitement, and the satisfaction. So from the other end of my surgical life, I can say that I definitely made the right decision, and I hope that you all go on to know when you're sort of coming to the end of your time that you too made the right decision. And I was just sort of reflecting on what can I say to you that the President hasn't already said. And I think what I would say is that as surgeons, you are obviously very pleased with yourself today, but just remember that you are immensely privileged, because people will let you do things to them that they wouldn't let anyone else do. I mean, how bizarre is it that a patient will see you an outpatient, you will say, "I have to remove your colon." And then they will subject themselves to you doing a terribly invasive procedure to them with possible life or death results. So just remember, this isn't about you, although, you know, well done, it is about you today. This isn't about you. This is about the fact that people have faith in the fact that you have your FRCS, you have your surgical qualification, it's a marker, and people trust that. And they are trusting you with their lives, and it's a very bizarre thing. There's no other job where people trust someone to quite that personal extent. And that's the first thing. And you then are one of the few people who will have the chance to, in your daily work, maybe save a life, maybe make a difference to someone's life. You know, very few people are lucky enough to go back at the end of a day's work, or maybe a night emergency, maybe you're called out at night, and get home in the morning after that night call, knowing that you've actually saved someone's life. It's an immense privilege, and it gives, well, it certainly gave me, and still does give me, an immense satisfaction to know that sometimes I've done something that most other people can't do. I'm not saying, you know, the rest of you can do it, but most people can't do that. And of course, that is wonderful. But, you know, it's not all beer and skittles. So there are some aspects of surgery which are extremely tough. And I don't want to spoil your day by dwelling on those, so I'll be brief. But, you know, there are times, and there will be times in your career, there's certainly been times in mine, when you can't save a life. You know, you're in the operating theatre, and of course I'm a vascular surgeon, so maybe it happens to me more than the rest of you. But there are times when you can't save someone's life, when someone will die on the table, or when you go to perform a laparotomy or whatever else, and you find that actually the disease has progressed further than you'd hoped it had, and that you can't do the good thing that you wanted to do. And that's very hard. And it can be particularly hard, you know, I mean, vascular surgeons do live on the edge a bit more, but it can be particularly hard in the middle of the night. So you're the one there, you are trying to save the day, it's the middle of the night, and you fail, okay? So some mornings you'll come home happy, other mornings you'll come home not so happy, and not so pleased with yourself. You know, one minute you're on top of the world because you're a consultant surgeon or you've passed your fellowship, the next morning things aren't so good. And what I'd say to you about that, it brings back to the President talking about fortitude. You know, there are times when you have to be brave. And you have to be brave, and you have to remember, as I say to my juniors, this isn't about you. Just remember that. When things go wrong, you might be a little sad that your technical know-how was not as good as you thought it would be. It isn't about you. It is about the patient on the table in front of you. So firstly, remember that. Be brave, though. And the piece of advice I would give you when things go wrong is do not hide it. There is no weakness in admitting that something hasn't gone the way you wanted it to do. There's a small group of surgeons who I've grown over the years to despise, and they are those surgeons who do not put their hand up when they have a complication or when the case doesn't go right. And we all know them, they're there in every hospital. You know, it's, oh yeah, everything's fine, no problem. Actually, my advice is, if things don't go right, talk to your colleagues. Be open with your colleagues. You actually have a duty of candour, which you'll all know about. You have to discuss it with the patient, and you have to discuss it with the patient's relatives. That's a legal obligation. But don't be frightened of doing that. You know, you're doing your best. If you know that you've done your best and you've done the right thing, there should be no fear in talking to other people about it. But I think for your own well-being and your own mental health over what can be, you know, sometimes long and difficult times, you need to speak to your colleagues. You need to establish a network of support between your colleagues. Surgery is a very competitive profession. We all like to think we're top dog and we can do things better than everybody else. But you need to establish a network of colleagues and a support system. And the fact is that if you talk to people about how things haven't quite gone the way you were expecting them to go, in time, other people will know that they can come and talk to you. And as you mature, you will actually be mentoring and supporting your colleagues. And that's very important for us as surgeons. The President's talked about how difficult COVID has been, how difficult it is, of course, working in war zones or humanitarian environments. But no one's an island. You know, we're all here together, and we're all here to help each other. So always be ready to listen, always offer support. Do not talk about your colleagues behind their back. Do not knock people's results. Everyone, we are in this together as a fellowship of surgeons. That's why you have your FRCS, okay? That's the end of my sort of morale-boosting conversation. But on the subject of support, as Neil said, you know, you've achieved a great deal. Well done, it's fantastic. You've all done really well. But you've only done that because there are people who love you. I doubt any of you have done this entirely on your own. Your parents have invested a massive amount of money in you over the years, massive amount of emotional support, massive amount of love. Just remember that in years to come when you're the great consultant surgeon. Remember what your parents have done for you, and remember what your spouses and partners have done for you, and be happy and have a nice life. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sue. We complete the formal arrangements around the conferring of the diplomas just now. I would very much like you to stand up, if you would, while the stage party leaves the room, and we'll look forward to seeing you out in the room across the corridor there for refreshments. I shall be coming round to ask you, because I think it's always fascinating, what specialty are you doing and why did you choose it? So be prepared with your answers, because I'm going to ask you it. Please be upstanding.